Well, we're officially into the holiday season, and for some people, it's a time of stress. I mean, which are you? Are you the Grinch, or are you that person like Elf that is just obnoxiously, irritatingly, way over the top with your enthusiasm and excitement about Christmas? Maybe you fall somewhere in between, where most of us are. Well, we're going to talk about those Christmas expectations and about how you get through this Christmas season, even if you're not the most Christmassy person on earth, or maybe you've encountered a loss in the family and you're not feeling it for Christmas. We're going to talk about that, and we'll get some words of wisdom from Dave Bowersox. He is one of the pastors at the Hills Church in Evansville. So stick around. We're going to be talking about this tough topic today on This Week with the City County Observer. Hey, I'm Johnny Kincaid. Thanks for taking some time to join us. Remember to share and like this program. I mean, like it a bunch. Just keep hitting the like button. We like it when you do that. Like again. If I keep using the word like, I'm trying to plant a subliminal message in your head, kind of like the TV commercials, that you'll hit like one more time. And then, of course, we want you to subscribe so that you don't miss out on our future episodes. We've got some great stuff coming up. All right, so we're going to get to the surviving and thriving in the holiday segment here in just a minute. But before we go there, we'll talk about some of the things that have been going on this week in the city of Evansville, and it's been bizarre, to say the least. The most bizarre story of which, of course, is the guy who drove his car off the top floor of the parking garage at Bally's downtown. Why? As of right this moment, we still don't have an answer to that, but pieces have been starting to get put together. Some charges have been filed against the driver. He apparently, while on that top floor of the parking garage, had to have probably gotten up a pretty good head of steam and drove into a concrete wall that the entire section of wall was moved by the contact and knocked down where it landed and went through the roof of the conference center. Of course, immediately followed by the SUV that the man was driving, and it landed upside down in the Bally's Conference Center. This is just, the amazing thing is that where it landed was right by the escalator and the elevators. Nobody was hurt except for the driver. So the driver of the car, he got some injuries. Nobody else hurt. That's miraculous. Then on top of that, there was a conference going on there. And the conference was with Corson, this is the company that does fire protection systems. In fact, they're the ones who did the fire protection system for Bally's. And they're doing a training there. And in attendance at the training are building inspectors and firefighters. That's amazing. Because when this accident, this wreck, this crash, this disaster happened, and the SUV came tumbling through the roof, they were able to respond immediately. Of course, Corson knew where to find everything for shutting things off because they've got the contract to do the fire protection there at the casino. You had firefighters on hand to help the injured guy out of his car and to look for anybody else that was injured. And you had building inspectors there who could look for the structural issues that may have been caused by this. Miraculous. It's amazing when things like that happen. I say it's the hand of God being placed on things. And sometimes there's no explanation for how that sequence of events works out to be exactly what it is. Now, the other thing that people are talking about in Vanderburgh County is politics. Still, even after the election's over with, we're still talking about politics. That's because politics in Vanderburgh County is the gift that keeps on giving. They just they give and they give and they give, both parties. And so starting with the Democrats, of course, Alex Burton got elected to be state representative. So he was the 4th Ward city council person. So he had to give that job up to go to work for as a state representative. When he did that, then it's the responsibility of his party, the Democrats, to fill that vacancy on the city council for the 4th Ward. They're supposed to select somebody who lives in the 4th Ward to take that position. So they hold a meeting. It's called a caucus, and it's a meeting of only the precinct committee people who live in the 4th Ward. There are 16 of them. And they then vote for who they think should become the next city council person. Well, the person that they put in there are now allegations that she may not be meeting the residency requirements, because you have to live in the district for at least 6 months and vote in the district. Well, her voter registration hadn't been changed. She was registered to vote in the 3rd Ward, but taking a position in the 4th Ward. So that raises all kinds of questions. Angie Bullock is the person who's raising a lot of those questions. We're going to get Angie on for a future show. She's going to be on soon, so you don't want to miss out on that. That's another good reason for you to subscribe, by the way. But that's going to be interesting to get more of the nuts and bolts and what's going on behind the scenes with all of that. And then the Republicans are giving us a nice gift here just at the beginning of December with a caucus that they're holding, big meeting to replace an elected official. Brian Girth, who was auditor, won a new seat in the last election. So that means that the Republicans have to select a new auditor. And it's not just one district or one ward, it's county-wide. So all of the precinct committee people can be involved in that process of selecting the next auditor. What that means is there's going to be an official meeting of all the PCs in the county. And that hasn't happened since people started threatening to try to get Mike Duckworth removed from his office as chairman of the Vanderburgh County Republican Party. You know, there was controversy earlier this year about people who wound up getting removed from their positions as precinct committee people and as delegates for the state convention. And so there's plenty of bad blood flowing around the Republican Party. And it is entirely possible that when this caucus takes place, that somebody could get up and make a motion from the floor, because the way the procedures are for all of this, they could make the motion from the floor that they hold a special meeting to determine whether Mike Duckworth is going to remain the chairman of the Vanderburgh County GOP. It's kind of a complicated system, that because they don't want to make it easy to get rid of a county chairman. So that could happen, and then they would vote at this caucus to have another caucus meeting to determine whether or not they're going to get rid of Mike Duckworth. And it's a complicated process, but I'm telling you, it's going to get interesting, because there are about 5 people that we feel pretty confident are going to throw their hats into the ring as potential replacements for Duckworth in the future. We'll keep watching the story, and we will keep you updated. So another reason to subscribe to This Week. This political charged atmosphere, by the way, well, it is impacting so many things. I mean, after the election, there are people who were talking about, I'm moving to Canada. That's it. I'm done. And people talking about going on strike. They're not going to go to somebody's house. Why? Because they don't agree politically. So somebody you've loved, you've grown up with, you've been a part of their life, you can't get along with them for a couple of hours, go sit and have a meal? Really? That's pretty tough. This atmosphere is just completely insane. And so you've heard probably on tons of TV shows people saying, don't talk about politics at Thanksgiving or Christmas. Don't go there, because it's going to be big trouble. And I kind of agree with that. I think this is a year where maybe leave that sacred and not go down that trail whatsoever. But don't stay apart. Don't decide that I'm not going to go and hang out with a person or spend time with family because I don't agree with them politically. That's just wrong. And we had an opportunity to talk to Dave Bowersox. He's one of the pastors at the Hills Church about this idea of people just not going to show up for Thanksgiving or Christmas.
It's sad to me. Nowhere else have I don't remember seeing, and I'm mid-40s. So I'm not, I'm not 100, but I don't remember a time when I've seen somebody say it's a good thing to isolate this year outside of COVID. Like it's a good thing to isolate because you're upset with somebody or you disagree with them. I don't know. It's just sad to me because there's so much learned in wrestling and also learning to put aside what's not important for what is important. And it just makes me sad. So I'm doing a lot of work with folks to just help bridge the gap between whether you disagree politically or even just with life choices. Like, can we put those aside?
It's no excuse to isolate. Those are great words of wisdom. Family is family. Stick together. People that you've loved, don't change loving them just because of the outcome of an election. Just enjoy the time together. Stay away from the touchy topics and just enjoy being with one another. The holiday season can be like a minefield, trying to make your way through without, setting somebody off. But you've done it before. You can do it again. The problem that we encounter so often with holidays is our expectations, because we get this fairy tale expectation. We think, oh, it's going to be perfect, and it seldom is, right? We've been fed the perfect image of Christmas and of Thanksgiving for years in advertising on television and in programs and in all those sappy movies that are shown on the Hallmark Channel, and we get this vision of what we think it should be like. Everybody wears matching pajamas, and we all just joyfully go about our days. And some people aren't filled with joy this time of year. I mean, that's unfortunate. That's sad, but it's the truth. And if you go searching for perfect, you're not going to find it. You're going to be disappointed every single time. So you've got to have realistic expectations for Christmas time, and especially when something major has changed. When there's been a family member that isn't going to be at the celebration this year because they left us this year. And left us could have, different meanings, but whether a loss comes about through the death of a person or through just the person moving away, it's still a loss. And we may grieve that in that first holiday or first few holidays without that person. So we asked Dave Bowersox about that and asked him to give some insight about that family member who's grieving a loss.
Or you've got somebody who's coming and you've got the awkwardness of like, oh gosh, Dan lost his wife. What do we do? Do we leave an empty seat there and say, this is the seat that honors, Janet? Do we do this? Or, what do we do? And I think if you have someone who is grieving, I think there's several things. One, just setting the expectation that you recognize that they're sad, and that's okay. I think oftentimes it's really awkward. We don't know what to say. And so you can go one of two ways. You can just jump right in and let's go all in with like, oh, we so miss, and just only want to just talk about the loved one who's gone and never get to anything else. Or you can just totally ignore it like it doesn't happen. Like, well, you shouldn't be sad. This is Thanksgiving. This is your favorite holiday. Like, don't be sad. And I think there's a middle ground of just recognizing, hey, we know this is a hard time for you. And so I've got a good friend. I call him Uncle Jim. And he is now finds himself alone. But what we do is we just invite him, because my family loves him to death. He's not blood family, but he's basically family. And the hardest part is just saying, hey, we know you're sad, and that's okay. And if you want to come, there's a seat here for you, and we'd love to spend Thanksgiving with you.
See, it's all about being able to honor the person. You know, the person who's going through grieving, the person who's having a struggle, difficulty, it's about being able to, you know, you don't want to take that sugary, you know, fake kind of voice to them. You want to be empathetic, and you want to be able to give them permission or room to be able to grieve in their own way, whatever that might look like. And in some cases, it is a true grieving process. And in other cases, it becomes more like a celebration, an honoring of the person's life, you know, an honoring of the person who passed.
Give them the honor of not just, you know, a seat, an empty seat, but also being heard and seen. Like, what was Janet's favorite part? Man, is there something we can carry on that Janet really loved? What did she bring to the mix? Because I fully believe that God brings purpose to this world uniquely through each person. And so when someone enters into eternity, when somebody dies, we no longer, if we just let their earthly presence stop, we're missing something. There's a void there. And so as a family, and again, I think families and close community do this, like, what did Janet bring to the world that now is not there? And so what can we do to kind of carry the mantle that Janet brought? Maybe Janet brought the best turkey ever, you know? And so that's going to be sad that we don't have that. Now, does it have to be turkey? No. But can somebody bring an awesome meal, an awesome entree? Yeah, you know what? Janet used to do this, but in honor of Janet, I'm gonna give it a try this year, you know? And it may be, we said earlier, like maybe something from Bob Evans, and that's okay. But honoring Janet by carrying on what was important to her.
Grieving during the holiday season, it can really be overwhelming.
For them at home, when they walk past that room, they're overwhelmed. Well, they're worried what's going to happen when they go to they're going to their son's house that they always go to every year, and now it's the first time going by themselves. They're worried they're going to be overwhelmed, and it's going to be awkward, and they don't want that. And so setting the expectation, again, we talked about expectations, like setting the expectation, hey, we know this is going to be hard, but here's an option. Like, and, you know, the invitation is there, but if on day of, you're just really not feeling up for it, it's nothing but a phone call or a text. Just let me know. We're in your corner. We'll bring you a plate. Or, you know, if you come and you're overwhelmed, just know we're with you, whatever that looks like. But I do encourage folks not to isolate too much, because I do think God calls us into community for a reason. And if we isolate too much, I think we can be given to, there are deaths of despair that happen around this time of year.
Whatever your plans for the holiday season, let them be your plans. And for people that you care about, for your family, for your loved ones, let their plans be theirs. You know, we live in this fractured world where, you know, in divorces, you've got two families, and you know, the kids wind up being kind of split between the two, and that split continues into adulthood for them. And this can just be an overwhelming time of year. Throw grief on top of that, and it can really feel like a really heavy weight and burden that you drag around with you. But you know, if you allow each person their own space, and you learn to accept where they're at today. They're not the exact same person that they were a year ago when you got together for Thanksgiving. They're in a different place. be accepting of that. Understand that. Allow for that, and let everybody have their own space to experience the holiday their way, and do your best to be that light. If you're a believer in Jesus, if you're a follower of Christ, if you're celebrating the fact that we're marking the birth of Jesus in this season, if that applies to you, then there are going to be some people in your life during this holiday season that are watching how you are handling it. There's an extra obligation that comes along with that, being a believer. I want to encourage you to be the example and be the light. And lean on other people when you need to. That's important. You're not an island. You're not alone. Lean on other people. They'll help get you through. Keep your prayer life together. Keep your faith. And you'll make it till the next holiday. God bless you. Thank you for joining us for this program. Really do appreciate it. We're always looking for new and interesting topics here on This Week. And if you have ideas, be sure to share them with us. You can do that in the comment section. Thanks again for joining us. And be sure to join us next time on This Week with the City County Observer.